Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the 2000 DS650. As you guys know, I picked this thing up for 900 bucks. Probably a couple weeks ago. We put the whole top end back together and timed it all up and put a couple new gaskets on it and pieced it all back together, and we got it to run. So today we have to finish up a couple things before we take it for the ride, which we're going to take this thing to my parents' house. They've got a bunch of land out there, so we're going to go do that. But before we do that, we've got to get the chain on it. This thing takes a 530 chain, and I was missing the master link, so we got the master link for it in the mail. It needs an air filter. The air filter's at my parents' house, came in the mail. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, and then put the battery back in it. So let's do all that fun stuff and then take this thing for a rip. Should be pretty fun. Oh, also I want to adjust the timing chain a little bit more. It seemed like it was a little bit loose last video, so let's tighten that up a tiny bit and then we'll be able to take this thing for a ride. We don't know if the clutch works yet either, so we want to make sure that works. So probably have to test out the clutch as well. But before we do that, let's get the chain on and get this thing going. Alright, here's the chain that came with this quad. I had to buy this master link for it. It's an O-ring chain master link. So you can see between each link there's a little O-ring. Basically just have to put two of those in between there. So this is going to go on like this. One right there. One right there. And this goes on like that. And then it will connect up. So let's go get this chain on the quad. We'll probably have to take off the engine case saver to get this chain on. Let's just get this thing fed through here. Pull this through. It's a big chain. It's a really big chain. Alright, here's the little O-ring master link. Came with a little grease. We're going to put some on the O-rings here. A little grease packet. Gonna spread a little bit in there. Oop, that was kind of a lot. Make sure that's all nice and coated. Whoop, as I drop it. Alright, then we'll come back over here. Alright. O-ring. Alright, master link is on. All good to go. Okay, let's see if it rotates over here. Yep, nice and tight. Let's get the case saver back on here. Like this. Hopefully it fits in there. Alright, that's nice and tight. Alright, we're going to take off the valve cover again, just to make sure that timing chain's tight enough. I tightened it up a little bit, but I didn't want to over tighten it. And the only way to really feel it out is to take off the valve cover and get to that timing chain. There should only be a couple millimeters of play in there, so let's take this off and see if we're doing it correctly here. There we go. Is there oil pouring out of it? Hopefully not much. Alright, let's see what we're dealing with. That feels pretty good to me. Hard to tell with that guide right there. I think we're fine. There's a little play in there. You can see. See, there's a little flex in there. Probably a good 2 millimeters of play. So that should be perfect. All right, I think we're gonna leave it like that. We can put everything back on and test it out. I just didn't want it to be too loose and have it wreck everything, or be too tight and have it wreck everything. So basically it has to be perfect. But yeah, now the carburetor's leaking out of the bottom of the float bowl, so we gotta fix the carburetor too. All right, so this thing's just about finished. I ended up fixing the timing chain. It was just a little tight, so I backed it off a little bit and put another washer in between there. I fixed the carburetor, doesn't leak anymore. You can see up here. I ended up putting a fuel filter on it. There's a little speck of rust I got between the needle and the seat, so I ended up putting a fuel filter right there on it to prevent that from happening. What else did I do? We got the chain on from before. We retightened down that valve cover. I thought there was one more thing I did. Oh, and then we put the battery back in right there. So as you can see, it turns on. Let's try to attempt to start this thing up and see how the cam chain reacts. Hopefully it's not too tight. Doesn't feel like it is, but we'll listen to it. If we hear like a screeching sound, we'll back it off a little bit. If we hear a clanking, we will tighten it a little bit. So we've got some room to play with. We haven't started this thing up in probably a week now, so let's turn the gas on. Choke it. Sounds pretty good. Oil lights off. I think we're ready for the first ride. All right, let's see if she moves on its own power. Well, clutch works, that's good. Take her for a little rip. Alright, made it to my parents. Got the quad out here. We just have to put the air filter on quick before we take this thing for a ride. Air filter's right underneath the seat, so it's pretty easy to get to. Go check out the air filter right now. Got one from, I think eBay it was. Here somewhere. Yeah, it's a really big air filter. Right in here. So we'll open that up, install that, and do the first ride. Alright, check it out. Air filter's in there. At first I didn't think it was gonna fit, but because it was so long. But it looks like that went all the way back there, and she fits. So nice and tight in there. Everything's nice and tight. So I think we're good to go. Let's get the seat back on. Take it for the first ride. Alright, here we go. First ride. Turn the gas on. Likes to be on reserve. Oh, let's see. Let this warm up for a bit. I don't think it needs choke. Maybe it does. Let this warm up for a bit. We'll see if she goes to little exhaust leak right there. It's missing the other spring. We can deal with that though, that's not that big of a deal. Alright, let's do her. If she breaks, she breaks. So, here we go. Pretty deep snow. So far, so good. Whew. Almost flipped her. Holy cow. Man, she's got a lot of power. Huh. Gotta figure out that gas leak. Leaking a good amount of gas out of there, out of that carburetor. I don't know why. So let's try to fix that. Alright, the gas just stopped leaking for some reason. So, I don't know what's going on with the carburetor. Something weird, I don't know if another piece of rust got stuck in there. But we've got a filter on it, so I don't know. But it's fixed now, so let's rip this thing. Pretty deep snow. Holy cow. What happened now? This gas got not going to it anymore? Gas looks like it's going to it. Let's see if I go to on here. It doesn't change anything. Huh. I don't know what's happening here. See if she starts back up. For some reason, second gear doesn't like it. Ooh, that didn't sound good. Huh. I don't think it's getting enough gas for some reason. We'll run it with the choke on, see what happens. If that gets better, we know it's not getting enough gas. Oh, the oil light came on. That wasn't good. Alright, so the oil light came on. And then now the neutral light doesn't turn on. I don't know if a wire got snapped or what happened here. But it was not sounding too great either. Oh, and then yeah, there's no power to it. Huh. Interesting. Take off the seat ones. Did it wire again? I wonder if I blew a fuse. These like to blow fuses for some reason. There's a fuse right here. That fuse is good. It's gotta be one of these. That fuse looks good. Huh. Oh, what the heck? Maybe it's not. The lights just turned on when I did this. I don't know if that fuse is good or not. There, the light turned on again. There, neutral light's on now. Huh. Must have been banging around in there. Didn't like that much. Alright, let's try this again. See if she turns on here. This thing is fast, holy cow. I don't like my oil light coming on though. My shifter bolt's off too. Alright, just got back from the first ride. So far so good. We had a couple problems. The fuse underneath the seat came loose, so the whole machine shut off. We had a leaking gas problem, but we figured that out, and it's good to go now. It looks like all the rust on the chain is coming off of it. Now we're having a problem with the oil sensor. Right here, it keeps on coming on. So what we're gonna do is unplug it right in there. I looked this up online. They said that sometimes it can get wet and cause problems, so we'll have to get that unplugged, plug it back in, and see if it turns off. But I'll show you guys. Even on startup, it stays on. Oh, I just turned off again. Well, that's good. I think it fixed itself. It probably just got wet and shorted out. So, alright, let's continue our ride. Alright, let's take a little ride on the road, see what happens. Pretty fast. The oil light came back on again. So really, we're just having a problem with the oil light coming on. I'm not sure why that keeps doing that. Otherwise, it rips. It's really fun. Oh yeah, that wheel's kind of flat in the front too. Looks like we've got a small oil leak coming from right here. Where is that coming from? Oh, It's a gas leak again. What's going on with that? What's going on with that gas leak too? This is why you test drive it, like we're doing. Trying to get rid of all the flaws before we rip it too hard to go too far away from the house. I don't want to get stuck. See, that's just gas leaking out of there. I don't know why that's doing that. See if the oil light turned off. No, it stays on. Gas stopped leaking. See if the gas continues to leak. Now the gas doesn't leak. Very, very strange. Alright, so this thing's overheating for sure. Every time we ride it, about 5 minutes in, it starts to have that light turn on. So I'm thinking it's either the wires right here that aren't that great, that aren't turning on, to turn the fan on. I believe those wires are what connect to the fan over here. I think they signal the fan to turn on. Pretty sure. Brown and black. Let's see. I think there's a brown and black one over here. Yeah, brown and black right there. So it might not be signaling it, or the actual gauge in here isn't working properly, and it's not coming out and making that wire connect to that wire, which turns on the fan. So I'm thinking that's what's happening. I'm guessing. Not too sure, but we're not going to ride it anymore until that gets figured out, because I don't want to blow it up. So we got to kind of mess around with the wires a little bit, and you know, there's really no good way of testing it because we don't know if anything works unless that light turns on. So I don't know, but that's why we do the tests we do. So everything else works great. Brakes work great. Has really good power. Starts up super easily. Runs great. Drives great. Really can't complain too much. Basically, the only problem we have right now is the overheating. So once we get this figured out, this thing will be a ripper for sure. Really, really fun to ride. It's a big machine though. It is a big machine. Alright, well that wraps up today's ride. First ride on the $900 DS650. Came a long way since we bought it, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Have a couple things to fix yet, including the temperature gauge, and we need to make that fan come on to cool off the engine. So something's not right with the cooling system, so we got to diagnose that and figure that out. Otherwise everything else is pretty good, I think. Timing chain was tight enough, didn't hear that clapping around. Thing's a beast, but we'll really rip it when we know it's not overheating. Stay tuned for the next video on this thing. I don't know when I'm going to have time to work on it, but we'll have another video on this pretty soon. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Till next time, we are out.